All right, boys, we are back with some more Nintendo Switch 2 content, which I know you guys like on the channel because my most popular video was about my Switch 2 pre-order experience. And today we're going to react to a video called The Switch 2 Hate is Idiotic. By the way, I will link a video in the description. After you watch this video, you can go ahead and go support this guy. He only has 661 subscribers, but after seeing this video, this guy should have a lot more. So go ahead and go support this guy. I have been seeing a lot of the Switch 2 hate of, oh my gosh, you're paying for that kind of power in 2025. Okay, we're going to get into all that. I don't want to get into all that right now. We'll talk about that as we get into the video. Here we go.
Too direct, and it hasn't exactly been received well by the crybabies on the internet. Most of that hate comes from straight misinformation and inbred incels who
$90 for physical has actually been misinformation, and I'm pretty sure has been debunked and confirmed as untrue.
Talking about, ranging from the technical aspect of the console, the economic aspect, and the cost of the games themselves. I'll be getting into all that on my official thoughts on the Nintendo Switch 2. Here's the thing. I would like to make clear I am not here to glaze Nintendo and support their increase in price, just to provide accurate information and not the misinformation I've been seeing on the internet.
Now, you could call me a Nintendo glazer from seeing the rest of my videos. I do love Nintendo. Nintendo is one of my favorite video game companies. Again, do I agree with the price increases? I think they're pushing it in some ways. Now, I am concerned. I definitely am concerned. I'm not the biggest fan of the price increases. So I'm gonna give my take on this video and in a realistic way.
Internet. Let's start off with the technical aspects of the Switch 2. I saw people complaining that the 1080p screen in 2025 is a joke.
It's a handheld
dumb
console.
And likely took all of their brain power to type that up in a TikTok comment section. The difference between a 1080p 8-inch screen and a 4K 32-inch screen is pixel density, or PPI, pixels per inch. To find the pixel density, we take the diagonal length in pixels
Lots of
divided
math.
by the diagonal length in inches. The issue is that you need the diagonal
Did this
length
guy
in
do the
pixels,
math?
which is this
If he
one.
did, wow, pretty
Doing this
impressive.
hopefully simple math gives us 278.85 PPI. A Retina display is considered a display with a PPI of between 200 to 300, which this 1080p screen in the big 2025 almost reaches that number. So 4K would be complete overkill for pixels that you can't even see or notice. Not to mention,
Here's the thing: the people that are 1080p in 2025, guys, this is a handheld console, and he's probably going to talk about it in just a second. But this console can go up to 120 frames per second on a handheld. Okay, I think the only other handheld that can do that is like the Asus ROG Ally, which is double the price. VRR, okay, which makes games feel extremely buttery smooth. A lot of people that are going to buy the Switch 2 have never even experienced 120 FPS, don't even know where VRR is, don't even know how smooth the gameplay is going to be, but once they get it in their hands, they're going to realize how smooth games truly run. This is truly impressive for a handheld console.
4K would just drain the battery life completely, and for what? Just so the neck-bearded babies living in their mother's basement won't complain about a 1080p screen on a console that's 8 inches. This screen is already pixel dense. It would be like trying to put a 4K display on a Kindle Fire. I also noticed the recent influx in praise for the Steam Deck, and don't get me wrong, the console seems absolutely goated, but it's only 800p. Where was the same energy then? The Switch 2 has the capability to do 1080p at 120 frames and 4K 60 frames in dock
Look
mode,
at that, man.
which is impressive for a handheld
really
console.
good.
But the
It's
people
really
that
good.
aspire to be a waste of DNA, I see saying the PS5 can do 4K 120 is insane. Have you ever...
Okay, first of all, how many games can do 4K 120? I don't think the PS5 can even do 4K 120. That's complete misinformation. 4K 60, but it can't even do... Hold on, let's look at this. Because I pulled this up because I was ready to talk about this. Many games are scaled for lower resolutions, such as 1080p or even 1520p to reach 4K. The PS5 can achieve 4K 60 on many games, including many PlayStation exclusives, and even including higher frame rates like 120 FPS on some titles. There's not very many titles, at least that I've played, that even have a 120 FPS option on the PS5. And we're already 5 years into the console's life cycle. PS5 can't really run 4K natively. The only console that could probably do that right now is the PS5 Pro, and that thing is $700. You want to talk about a high price? $700 so you can actually get 4K 60 FPS. The PS5 was branded as, it can do 4K 60, not natively, upscaled. It's exactly what the Switch is doing. The Switch is still upscaling. So is the PS5. So you can't come around and be like, the Switch 2 sucks. PS5's better. I'm like, the PS5 can't even run 4K 60 natively. What are you talking about?
Booted up your PS5 and played your Gooner games Stellar Blade at above 60 frames per second at 4K? I didn't think so. The common misconception comes from the fact that the HDMI 2.1 port is rated for 4K at 120 and 8K 60, but that doesn't mean the PS5 has the power to output
And there's 8K on the box of the PS5. They literally put, it can go up to 8K. There's, as far as I know, there's like 0 games that can run at 8K. Like, come on now. And if you're like, and even if you're saying, PS5 and Xbox are much better, they run these games much better. I'm gonna be honest with you. Unless you have a goated PC, a lot of the games that you're playing are still inferior versions. You're still not playing the best versions of the games that you play on the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S.
Frames. At the most, the PS5 can output 4K 60, which is more in line with the specs the Switch 2 is
upscaled.
pushing. The Switch 2 will likely be pushing the specs of a PS4, which, not surprisingly, there was hate for this. Like, why are we acting like the PS4 graphics are like if we took a TV screen, ran it through mud, threw it out a 10-story building, and then tried playing the original God of War from the PS1? The PS4 to the PS5 isn't this revolutionary jump from PS2 to the PS3.
Guys, just this past last year, 2024, we're still seeing cross-gen games. Games are still coming out on the PS4. We're in 2025. The console's been out for 12 years. What are we talking about? We're talking about that the PS4 to PS5 is a generational leap. It's not. Maybe from PS2 to PS3, yes. Even from the PS3 to the PS4 could have felt like a generational leap, but really we haven't seen that big of a generational leap from the PS4 to the PS5. Let's be realistic here. Let's look at all these games that are coming out on the PS4 just this year. Let's look at this. Look at this. Just in May, Elden Ring Night Rain. That's one of the big ones that's coming out. It's the PS4 is still being supported. I'm not bashing the PS4 at all. I think the PS4 is one of the greatest consoles of all time. I think it's PlayStation's best console yet. Do you not remember the incredible games came out on the PS4? Some of the best games.
Even PS3 to PS4. The PS4 can run games like God of War Ragnarok, Ghost of Tsushima, or Horizon Forbidden West, which are all graphically impressive games.
Yes.
And let's be honest, no one buys a Switch and doesn't play first-party Nintendo
Exactly.
games. Nintendo is known for their amazing optimization. The fact they got Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom running on the Switch 1 isn't appreciated enough. The price of the console. It is $449.99 USD. People seem to forget to think about the differences between these consoles before writing their tweet, which clearly had minimal thought put into it. The PS5 is that price because
I think the console itself is fairly priced for what you're getting, the kind of screen. If you look at something like the Asus ROG Ally, it's twice the price. Yes, it is more powerful, but on the Switch, you're still getting 120 FPS screen in handheld, 120 FPS. The Joy-Cons by themselves are kind of expensive. The Joy-Cons have mouse functionality improved from the original. And the fact that, again, it has mouse functionality, I think is going to open up a lot of avenues for lots of other games to be brought for the platform.
It prioritizes performance. And since it doesn't have a screen to worry about, or the ability to take the console wherever you would like.
Exactly. That's another one. Portability. You're not going to be able to just take your PS5 and play it anywhere. Now, granted, you'd be like, the PlayStation Portal. I own one. I like my PlayStation Portal. But to be honest with you, the only time I use the PlayStation Portal is whenever my wife is watching her shows on the TV and I'm playing a single-player game. If we go out somewhere, if we're to go on vacation, I'm sorry, but the PlayStation Portal is kind of useless. Yeah, you have to have really strong Wi-Fi. As opposed to this, if I wanted to play Cyberpunk on my PlayStation Portal, I can, but I'm at the mercy of Wi-Fi. As opposed to if I have a Switch 2, I can therefore play Cyberpunk anywhere I want to without having to be connected or worried about the internet.
Switch 2 is a handheld that can be docked, so the hardware team has to factor in the cost of the LCD screen, the Joy-Cons, the internal speakers, and a sufficient cooling system, as well as an included dock to connect the console to your TV. With a PS5, you're expected to provide all of those things yourself. The PS5 comes with the console itself and a controller. I don't see Sony throwing in a PlayStation Portal to take your console on the go.
Nope.
I also see talks about the Nintendo Switch 2 camera, and how it's $50 and only 1080p. Well, I'm going to put this slowly so you can understand. The PS5 camera is $60 for the same resolution. Why?
So, if you're a Sony fanboy and you're like, oh my gosh, that camera's so expensive. I mean, you don't have to buy it. I mean, did you buy a PlayStation camera? I mean, I could be clowning on you for saying, oh, you got a PS5 and look at the camera, $60. You didn't have to buy it.
Are we pretending that Nintendo's ripping us off with that price? Because what did you want? 4K? Yeah, good luck getting a 4K camera for less than $150.
Yeah, 4K cameras are very
Even
expensive.
if you're not upset about the 1080p camera being priced reasonably, what about the 480p Piranha Plant webcam? Let's not even in this discussion because it's not an official Nintendo product, just licensed so they can use the Piranha Plant in their product.
They're selling it for decoration. That's
I
all
knew
it
as
is
soon as
for.
I saw virtual game cards that they were a good idea, because digital games are not as easy to play on multiple systems. Virtual game cards allow you to swap games between consoles and anyone can play them on that system, and even share your digital games with friends. You know, the thing other
I like that you
companies
can
have
share
been
that
trying
with
to-
friends because maybe, like I said, with games being more expensive, I could see how this could benefit because maybe you have a friend that's like, hey, like for example, Donkey Kong Bonanza. A lot of people might be on the fence, like, yeah, I don't know if I want to buy Donkey Kong Bonanza. Maybe you might have a friend that be like, hey, I bought Donkey Kong Bonanza. You want to try it? I'll let you borrow it. And the friend's like, yeah, let me try it. And then the friend's like, yeah, this game's fire. I'm gonna buy it now.
prevent
But it's so anti-consumer. Why make it harder to play games on multiple consoles?
I'm sorry, but the old way you needed to play your games on multiple systems was you needed an internet connection for a non-primary console. I don't understand why people dislike sharing games all of a sudden. I thought this is what we wanted. With physical games, you can just give your copy to your friend and it will work. So they implemented it into digital games, which also makes it easier to
I think this
justify
idea
the increased
is good.
price I'll be talking about later in the video. Because if your friend has a game and you don't know if you'd want it, they can share it with
there you
you
go.
and play it and see if you like the game. If the feature offends you so much, you could always just not use it. I also saw talks about the game keycards Nintendo announced. I have a few things to say about that. I think it's fine, only because of how transparent Nintendo is with these keycards. On the website, they require companies with physical copies to have a whole chunk of the case tell the consumer that it's a game keycard. Not all Switch 2 games are going to be like this though. The logical explanation for this is Nintendo
Cyberpunk has on the entire cartridge, which is crazy.
like Cyberpunk 2077, which are big titles and may use
pretty
more
impressive.
than the 64 gigabytes per cartridge, so they will require data to be downloaded from a server. I think it's good that Nintendo is disclosing if a game is a keycard or not, if they do decide to use it on their
I
own
guess
titles,
it's being
because
transparent.
Mario Kart World isn't a game keycard. As much as the C button on the Switch 2 should have been Call Luigi, so Luigi could help you become Elden Lord, is actually the voice chat feature, which is a long time coming, by the way, but any feature added should be taken as a win, not a reason to hate on the console.
The people that are like, oh my gosh, you have to pay for voice chat. Look, listen. Nintendo's multiplayer ecosystem has always been garbage. They're always behind. Like the fact that they just added game chat to the console, I mean, they're so behind. I mean, Xbox 360 days, or even the first Xbox was the first time that you could have game chat. Game chat's been around for freaking 20 years at this point. We know how behind they are when it comes to their multiplayer ecosystem. This shouldn't be a surprise for you. If you expected it to be like Xbox Live or PS, or like I said, or PlayStation, you're expecting too much out of Nintendo. You have to realize it's Nintendo, okay? You have to put their expectations in reality. Come on now. It's the fact that they added game chat is just revolutionary in Nintendo's ecosystem in itself.
What is unfortunate is that somehow, it doesn't matter what they do, they'll get hate for it. This is because after a certain amount of time, Nintendo will put the feature behind the Nintendo Switch Online subscription. Well sure, if the voice chat feature was locked behind the expansion pack to use it, yeah, that'll be a reasonable thing to hate on, but no. Base Switch Online is $20 a year.
$20 a year.
Let's be honest. If you disagree, it's fine. You can say why you disagree in the comments. For those of you that get in party chats with your friends, how many of you have the subscription to use voice chat, to use party chat? How many of you actually pay for online? Even if you use Discord, even if you use Discord on PlayStation and Xbox, which is free. Discord is free, but still, be honest. If you're playing games with your friends, don't you need an online subscription unless it's Fortnite? But that's like very few games. It has to be a free-to-play game. But any other game, you'd have to have an online subscription to play with your friends.
It's way too much money. I'm poor.
Come on, if you're seriously complaining about $20 a year in the first place,
It's $20 a year! A year! $2 a month. $2 a month to use voice chat.
Be in the market for a new console to begin with. You should be lined outside the local food bank. We
That argument, it's a very good point. Very good point.
cannot be serious right now. Chances are you will not be using the feature unless you're playing online games anyway,
Yep.
which need an online subscription to play
Yep.
in the first place. This one is a bit stupid and I can't quite remember where I heard it from, but anyone who is upset that you can't use standard microSD cards clearly don't understand what faster storage means. Like, they could support the old microSD
That's like complaining that you have to get an if you want to expand the storage on your PlayStation or Xbox, that's like saying I have to get an SSD. Yeah. That's how the consoles run the games, on an SSD. That's why the load times are so much faster. A hard drive is way too slow. It's obsolete.
cards, but then the same individually dense crowd of people will complain about load times while loading off an inferior SD card to load things off of. The price of the console has gotten a bit of hate towards it. At first
I think
glance,
it's fairly
sure,
priced.
it
I
is
think it's fine.
expensive, but after I talked about the costs that are
Fairly
factored
priced.
into
Console
the final
itself,
price,
yes.
like the dock, the price for the console is a pretty fair price for what you get, but that's the least of the worries online. The price of Mario Kart World is $79.99 MSRP. I saw that and I was honestly taken aback. However, this was going to happen. It didn't matter which company was going to do it first, because they're all going to follow
we already
suit
saw Microsoft
soon.
follow
I wish
suit.
they kept it the same price, but they won't. At the end of the day, Nintendo is a business, like literally all other businesses in existence. And people seem to think they're entitled to gaming companies taking a loss on all their products.
Yep.
Like, if we compare $59.99 USD...
This is exactly what I talked about in one of my previous videos. I think this is where we talked about the Switch 2 for the first time. Yes, when according to inflation, I think even according to inflation standards, like I said, we're still paying. We're still lucky that the game is $80 and not $100. You know what I mean? We know a game that might be $100. It just got delayed this week.
To the inflation of today, it is around $79.99 in today's money. All Nintendo is doing is marking up the price to account for inflation, which is what everyone is doing. It's how the economy works. With an economy comes inflation, and a little bit of inflation is natural, just as long as wages keep up with that inflation, which they're
Unfortunately,
not.
they have not
grocery
kept
bill
up.
And utility bills are already really high, and
before you start saying, yeah, you can get Donald Trump, because if you've seen the rest of my videos, you know that I talk about politics as well. You can get Donald Trump. He's only been in office for 100 days. He's not going to fix his mess in 100 days, okay? Chill out. We have to wait to see how the economy, when you fix the economy, I'm not going to get into this tangent, but I'm just going to say this. It takes time. Okay, we have to look at the future. We have to look at long-term, not short-term gratification, which is unfortunately the kind of freaking world we live in, instant gratification.
Games are following suit with the prices going up to accommodate that inflation. It's not really fair to blame Nintendo for increasing their prices, so if you're gonna blame anyone, blame the Cheeto man in office right now for his massive wins.
We're gonna win so much, you may even
Not
get
about
tired
instant
of
gratification.
winning, and you'll say, please, it's too
And as
much
far as we've
winning.
seen with the stock and all that stuff, the stock market has recovered after Trump kind of with his tariffs, and it made it all go crazy. A lot of it's recovered already, believe it or not.
Can't take it anymore.
Circling back to the price of the games, I said that this was going to happen eventually. If Nintendo didn't raise the price first, there is a certain game which likely would have.
Yep.
GTA 6 would be the
Yep.
most likely to raise the base price of the game. And there is still a chance that GTA 6 raises the price past the new standard.
I think I will be shocked if Grand Theft Auto 6 is not $100. I'll be shocked. Especially because I think Rockstar has already said that. I mean, I think the amount of money. This is probably the most expensive game ever made in history. And I'd be shocked if the game wasn't $100. Every single person that I've talked to that's in my friend circle that I play video games with, they're gamers themselves. They genuinely play video games. They have a passion for video games. Every single one of my friends has said they will pay whatever price GTA 6 is. They do not care. They don't care if the game's $120. They're going to buy GTA 6. Especially if GTA 6 is going to have the lifespan of GTA 5. GTA 5 came out, like 12 years ago at this point? So if GTA 6 is out for another 12 years, 120, I think is not a bad price, especially if the game's going to be good. If Rockstar's going to cook, and this is going to go down as one of the best games ever made, for a lot of people, they don't care. They don't care if the price is $100 or $120. They're going to buy the game because they know the kind of product that they're getting. And I understand when people are like, oh my gosh, $80 is outrageous. Now, I see the argument, again, if you don't know what kind of product you're going to get, you're very skeptical about dropping that amount of money and the game ended up being trash. I don't care what anybody says. I think Mario Kart World's going to be a banger. I think Mario Kart World is going to be worth its price tag at the end of the day. Look at Elden Ring. Elden Ring $60 game. Shadow of the Erd Tree, $40. Elden Ring to get the complete content, $100. If you were gonna tell me that I was gonna spend well over 200 hours in Elden Ring, that it was gonna be one of my best experiences in video games ever, that it would be my favorite game of all time, and it would cost me $100, I would say I do not care. I'll buy it. If people know what they're getting, they're willing to pay a high price for it. Here's the thing. And if you're somebody who does not buy microtransactions at all in any video game, you only buy video games on sale, you only have one console, I can see why you're upset. But if you're somebody that buys microtransactions on a consistent basis, you're always buying special editions of video games, DLC, and you're already spending $90, $100 plus on a video game, I don't know why you're complaining. That's a double standard that you're setting.
Price Nintendo set to $100, but GTA 6 would be raising the price due to inflation if they go higher than Nintendo. This is because Nintendo's price increase converts almost perfectly with the inflation from 2017 to present date, as per mentioned earlier. Rockstar would be doing this because of the absurd amount of money they spend on the game. I guarantee that not as many people would have complained about the price of GTA 6 as much as Nintendo is getting hate for theirs. What would be worse is if Rockstar set the bar over $100 USD per game than every company doing it. That would be over accounting for inflation.
Exactly.
Let's say Sony or Xbox.
Because Assassin's Creed Shadows is not worth $80 or above. Probably not even worth $70. Game's garbage.
Start charging $80 for their game.
And here's the thing about Microsoft. Microsoft just released the Oblivion remaster at $50, which I think is undercutting the market right now, which is surprising because they just they were just going to raise the prices of all their games. I think it's a good thing. And if Xbox keeps making those right moves, like what they did with Oblivion, maybe this can instill more competition, and competition brings out excellence. So I'm not opposed to that at all.
Games. Would you stop buying PlayStation or Xboxes, or even not buy GTA 6?
No. People are going to buy GTA 6.
Better than any other Nintendo game ever. Nintendo is the worst game company. They haven't made anything good since the DS.
Okay, Sony fanboy, why are we pretending Nintendo hasn't put out straight bangers? The reality is, there are going to be people who don't like the same things. I can see GTA 6 not being for everyone, which is fine. Unless you like Skull and Bones, in that case your opinion is invalid. I am saying this as a Rockstar fan. I have over 100 hours clocked on Red Dead Redemption 2, and I may even pick up GTA 6 when it comes out for PC, because I see that game will likely be worth its high price tag if it is set.
A lot of people, it's going to be worth the price tag.
What can you take away from this is that Nintendo has some games that are worth their high price, like Tears of the Kingdom. But with that comes games that are not worth that price. But this occurs with literally most AAA gaming companies, where they charge $60 and likely the new $80 for all games. Hopefully the variable pricing Doug Bowser said will hopefully solve this issue. My hopes are not that high though, because I don't see them going below $69.99. There are people on the internet saying how the Switch 2 is the same thing. Yes. It's what we wanted. The Switch was already a great console. Why would Nintendo throw away the $1 million idea to make something brand new? They won't. People have been asking for a better spec Switch for years. I know this because of the prevalent Switch Pro leaks.
Oh, you remember all this Switch Pro talk that never stopped?
Which ended up being an OLED Switch, and at the time to create a Switch Pro wasn't great.
We all thought this was the Switch Pro. We thought it had performance upgrades.
So the console would have been a lot more money for just a Pro variant of the console. The Switch 2 was the most logical choice for Nintendo to create because they addressed the existing issues of the console, but still added fun new features.
I understand people are like, oh, the Switch 2 is literally the same thing. This is what everybody wanted. The Switch was an incredible idea. It's going to go down as maybe the best-selling console ever. It's my favorite console ever. It's my favorite console to date. And the fact that we're going to get another one that's improved upon all the problems that the previous one had? What? Nintendo's literally doing the if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Features to it like Joy-Cons being used as a mouse. What can you take away from this video? Well, the fact that most of the haters for the Switch 2 are probably the type to say, school is a scam, then proceed to drop the worst information of all time, like how the PS5 can do 4K 120. No, it can't.
It can't.
Most of the people hating on this console
could barely do 4K 60 upscaled.
Likely wouldn't have bought it anyway. The basement dwellers decided to pick on Nintendo because they were forced to get off Genshin Impact for a few minutes because the Wi-Fi disconnected. Yeah, the price increase? Yeah, that's only in the EU. So you Yankee Doodle people can calm down that your games didn't increase in price for physical. The Nintendo Switch 2 complaints have been very over-exaggerated to say the least. I don't want the console because it's too much money or I can't afford it. Everything is getting expensive. And if everything is going up, we can't expect some random industry to keep the prices the same. Anything you disagree with, let me know in the comments why you disagree. Or you can simply hit the...
Yeah. Definitely go support this guy, okay? Here is his name, okay? I'm probably botching it. And I'm going to go ahead and I will sub to this guy, okay? He has 661 subscribers after this video. This guy should have way more, and I will also like the video. You guys go to the video and please like it. Please support this guy. Yeah. And if you are like you're a PS5 fanboy, and I own a PS5. I love PlayStation. I grew up on PlayStation and Nintendo. But my frustration with PS5, you're saying, oh yeah, PS5 is way better than. I'm pretty sure the Switch 2, by the end of its life cycle, will have way more first-party games than the PS5 ever had. By the way, I actually have it pulled up. I wanted to show you this. This is it. Okay, that's it. We're in 2025, and this is all the PS5 exclusives that are only on PS5, not cross-gen. Not cross-gen. These are the only games that are exclusively on PS5. The console has been out for 5 freaking years. It'll be 5 years this November. You're telling me this is all we got? Really? Come on now. I understand if you don't like Nintendo as a greedy company and they're greedy and all their outlets for money, but yet you're a PlayStation fanboy or an Xbox fanboy, which Xbox, I mean, they actually made a good move with Oblivion. I'll give credit where credit is due. But PS5, the PS5 generation, honestly, has been kind of a joke. Like, you can't call the Switch 2 inferior, and I'm like, this is all the exclusive games you have in year 5. And it can't even run 4K 60 FPS natively. So you want to talk about inferior consoles, everything you're playing is inferior unless you're playing it on a god tier PC. Come on, we got to start being more realistic, guys.